Hey, what's happening, everyone? It is I, the man, the myth, the mustache, Tim here, and I've got a brand new video for you. Welcome to part 2 of What If Deku Had Full Counter. Please sit back and relax because you are in for a treat. With that out of the way, let's get this show going, shall we? There was a short period of time between Hizashi leaving Endeavor's agency and joining his new one. It was a pleasant change of pace, and the fire breather preferred his new boss to his old one. A pro hero with crimson hair approached the black-haired man. "You ready, Spitfire?" said Crimson Riot. "Yes, sir." Kiyo followed Crimson Riot as they started their patrol. The manly pro hero greeted the citizens that waved to him. Many were curious about the costumed man that followed the chivalrous hero. Some stopped the duo to interview and inquire. While Crimson Riot introduced his new sidekick, Kiyo absent-mindedly watched a couple of kids playing tag. Seeing them duck and weave between pedestrians in their game brought a smile to his face. Kiyo's grinning expression turned dark as the children ran blindly into the streets. Time slowed to a crawl. Spitfire's sudden movement startled Crimson Riot. He saw his new recruit dash between people and vault over cars, sprinting into traffic as a pickup truck came barreling towards the kids. The truck driver slammed on the brakes, but the vehicle wouldn't slow down. A panicked car horn blared, causing the children to freeze in fear. Kiyo grabbed the two kids and bound over the speeding truck. He landed hard and rolled along the pavement. Kiyo yelled out, "Runaway car! Everyone clear out!" At the fire breather's command, everyone was at attention and cleared the way for the unstoppable truck. Crimson Riot sprung into action as Kiyo set down the kids and pursued. They had to get the driver out of that truck and somehow stop it before anyone else got hurt. The driver continued to slam his car horn and swerve to avoid pedestrians, unsure of what else he could do. Fear tightened around his heart as he felt the weight of his truck shift. He was met with some relief when he saw Crimson Riot and Kiyo in the bed of his truck. "Get the civilian out. I'll stop the truck," Crimson Riot ordered. "Yes, sir." Kiyo carefully maneuvered over the side of the vehicle to the driver's door and assessed the interior. Riot did the same on the opposite side as the sidekick forced the door open. "Don't worry, we'll get you out of here," Kiyo said. With precision and luck, the Spitfire hero burned through the seatbelt and pulled the driver into his arms. Riot took over the wheel as Kiyo bailed. "You all right?" Yeah, I think so." "Okay, cool. An ambulance should be here shortly. Just take a seat and catch your breath." The sidekick began running after the truck. He couldn't catch up if he kept to the streets, so he took to the rooftops. Kiyo leapt with the grace of a cat and dexterity of a monkey from wall to wall. He pulled himself onto the roof effortlessly and used the momentum as he continued his pursuit. Kiyo called into his communicator. "Where are you, Riot?" "Heading towards the residential district. I'm gonna try to get this thing uphill." "Put the truck in neutral and head north. I'll get the brakes set for you." With a plan in mind, the Spitfire hero soared across the rooftops, getting ahead of the truck before landing on the street. With the truck in sight, the sidekick set the road on fire. The asphalt began to bubble as his fire breath melted the pavement. 30 feet of road was reduced to hot tar. The truck splashed hard, slowing it down to a gentle halt. Many people started to thank Crimson Riot for his work, but he couldn't accept all their praise. He gave his sidekick a hearty pat on the back, causing the unexpected fire breather to stumble. "Don't forget about Kiyo here. He was the first to notice the speeding truck and make sure no one got hurt." A bashful smile appeared on Kiyo's face as he adjusted his goggles from nerves. He wasn't used to being thrust into the spotlight. "Wait, I recognize you. You're Endeavor's sidekick, weren't you?" a civilian called out. This led to many more questions as news crews began to swarm. Thankfully, Crimson Riot diffused the situation upon promising a press conference in the near future. Between his hero work and personal investigations, Hizashi did his best to be there for his son. He'd always be there to pick up and drop off Izuku from school, play games like Hero vs. Villains, and nerding out over pro heroes together. The father and son especially enjoyed watching the Crisis footage of All Might's debut. The two could quote that whole video by heart at this point, sound effects included. Later at Izuku's preschool, the green-haired boy was playing catch with Bakugo while waiting for his dad to pick him up. "Kacchan, stop throwing the ball so hard." "Don't be such a baby. I'm not even throwing it that hard yet." The little firecracker threw the ball, putting explosive force behind it. The baseball went rocketing at Izuku. The meek boy shielded his face, hands outstretched in defense. Just as the ball was about to hit him, a pulse of force came from the boy's palms, sending the speeding ball back to Bakugo. The blonde dodged the baseball at the last second. Both boys were stunned in silence for several minutes. I got my quirk! I got my quirk! Yeah, and you almost took my head off! Sorry. Birds chirped overhead as the boys stared awkwardly at each other. Want me to throw stuff at you to see what your quirk can do? Yeah, just don't aim for my head. Bakugo picked up whatever he could get his hands on to throw at the young Midoriya, fully planning to aim at his head. Hizashi jumped and flipped across rooftops in the direction of his son's school. The lead he found in his investigation took longer to follow than he thought, and unfortunately, it was looking like a wild goose chase. Because of this, he was running behind to pick up his boy. Hizashi slid down a drain pipe and sprinted onto the school grounds. Hey, Green Bean. Sorry I'm late. Hi, Dad. Hizashi saw Bakugo pick up a large rock and throw it at his son. His protective instincts kicked in as he ran in to protect Izuku, but the boy was able to protect himself. The fire breather saw a pulse of force come from his son's hands, throwing the rock back towards Bakugo. Kacchan, that was mean! I wasn't looking! The blonde only laughed. The emerald-eyed boy turned back to his father. Hizashi, stunned by what he saw, fell to his knees in front of Izuku. Due to not having the telltale sign, the doctor said his son would never develop a quirk. The father had kept the news to himself, for the time being, knowing that it would destroy his boy. Pride and relief welled up in Hizashi's chest, causing tears to fall from his eyes. Dad, why are you crying? Are you okay? I'm fine. I'm just happy. The Midoriyas went to the doctor's the following day. The doctor was perplexed, but despite the odds, the green-haired boy did develop a quirk. Upon further analysis, it looks like there are similarities between the boy's quirks and his late mother's. This piqued the attention of Izuku, while his father's expression turned somber. It seems Izuku has the ability to redirect the force of objects coming towards him. If you plan on helping Izuku work on his quirk, Mr. Midoriya, I'd suggest not working with anything larger than a textbook. Izuku is still young, and the recoil from larger objects could hurt his muscles and joints. The Midoriyas left the doctor's office and began making their way home. Izuku was on his father's shoulders, enjoying the view from on top of the world. Hey, Dad, is my quirk really like my mom's? Yeah, kinda. She could attract small things to her, while you're able to push them away. Whoa! What was Mom like? Hizashi froze in place, disorientation clouding his thoughts as he's forced into his past. He could see her vividly across the street, her back turned to him as her emerald locks danced in the gentle breeze. The fire breather gazed longingly at her ghost. A passing bus broke the trance and banished Inko. Hizashi's breath caught in his throat, and his eyes became damp with grief and mourning. Your mother was my spark, my fire. She was the most loving and kind and nurturing person I had ever known. Her eyes were like jade, and her voice could soothe even the angriest of people, namely me on many occasions. I wanted to protect her with my all, and I became stronger because of her love. When she left, I lost my fire. I lost so much of my strength during that time. But after I got my feet back under me and focused on raising you, Green Bean, I reclaimed my fire. Having you in my life makes me want to be a better hero. Midoriya drank in his father's words, his eyes shining in wonder. He imagined his mother as a warrior of justice, dressed in radiant green flames. This bolstered the boy's desire to become a hero, to fight by his dad's side. Fast forward to Izuku having turned 15 years old, and in his third year of junior high. He had gotten very accustomed to his quirk. Izuku had been writing down his analysis of heroes in notebooks, having over a dozen of them filled to the brim with information. The sections about Crimson Riot and Kiyo were thorough, since Izuku got the details from the heroes firsthand. During those past 11 years, Hizashi trained Izuku upon his son's request. It started off easy, jogging and playing games as opposed to laborious work. Hizashi wanted his son to enjoy the hard work, unlike a certain cousin of his. As Izuku got older, the training got progressively harder. It evolved from simple games of catch to seeing how the boy could manipulate the movement of objects he repelled, and how far he could send them. There were even the rare occasions that Bakugo would join the training, but the Spitfire hero would always keep a close eye on the blonde's actions and temper. The day of the high school applications had arrived for the third-year students of Aldera Junior High. Everyone wanted to take on the hero track. Only 2 of the student body applied for the renowned UA High. Midoriya looked at the news once classes had ended for the day. The villain attack from that morning was getting massive coverage, and the emerald-eyed boy wanted to get his analysis down before he could forget any details. An explosive hand slammed onto his desk before he could put his notebook away. The owner of that hand confiscated Midoriya's book. "Oi, Wookie! You trying to one-up me or something by applying to UA?" "What? No, Kacchan. I've wanted this since we were kids. You know that. Now give my book back." Midoriya lunged for his journal, but Bakugo simply passed it to one of his flunkies. The game of keep away continued until one of the blonde's followers got the brilliant idea to read the contents of the notebook. "Hero analysis? Strengths and weaknesses? Dude, you're practically a stalker." Vaulting over desks and chairs, Midoriya made a beeline for his notebook. His life's work was within his grasp, but was ripped away when it was passed to Bakugo. The blonde caught the book with ease and tossed it out the window without a second thought. Midoriya couldn't believe that just happened. He was only able to process what Bakugo did when his frenemy had a proud and cocky smile on his face. Blinding frustration began burning in Midoriya's blood, which caused him to rush at Bakugo and shove him with all his might. The embers of the temper the boy inherited from his father triggered his quirk. A familiar pulse came from Midoriya's hands, and Bakugo was flung backwards and propelled out the window. Ah! Fearful and ashamed of what he had done, Midoriya looked outside. Bakugo had landed in the koi pond below. He was soaked and steaming as he glared at his attacker. "You're so dead!" Midoriya took the threat seriously. He grabbed his backpack and ran for his life. There was one thing he couldn't leave behind, though: his notebook. Planning as he ran, Midoriya made a run for the koi pond. He did what he could to remain calm and remember what his dad taught him, but he was facing Kacchan. The emerald-eyed teen was right to be nervous. "There you are, Qui-Gon!" Bakugo appeared in the hallway before him. The blonde was ready to fight, firing off tiny explosions in his hand. Midoriya scanned the hall as he ran. There was nothing for him to jump off of. Unless... Midoriya picked up the pace, running closer to the wall. His feet hit the wall as he started running on it. Bakugo wasn't expecting this. He tried to blast Midoriya, but the runner pushed the blonde back with his quirk. The puddles that were forming at Bakugo's feet caused him to lose his footing before slipping and falling on his face. Midoriya landed with a roll and kept running. "Get back here, Skywalker!" Midoriya kept running. His pursuer was having a hard time keeping up. The green-haired boy got outside with the koi pond in his sight. He only slowed down for a second to grab his book before picking up speed again. Escaping the school grounds and running deeper into the city, Midoriya didn't stop running until Bakugo's angry yelling was non-existent to him. He caught his breath as he checked the condition of his notebook. Every page was soaked, and his writings and drawings were smeared but still readable. A sad sigh came from Midoriya. He pulled out his phone as he started walking. "Hey, Green Bean, what's up?" "Hey, Dad, I got into a fight with Kacchan." "What happened? Are you hurt?" "Did he hurt you?" No, I'm fine, I promise. Kacchan threw my hero analysis book out the window, and I ended up sort of throwing him out that same window." "Come again? Did he get hurt?" "Only his pride. I didn't mean to send him out the window. I just got really angry when he tossed my notebook out like that." "Sounds like something I did in middle school. But I intentionally threw the guy out the window." "Oh gosh, I'd rather not know what he did to deserve that." Izuku was making his way under a lonely bridge in an empty side street as the conversation continued. His words slightly echoed off the concrete walls. "Anyway, I was able to get away and grab my book thanks to the parkour you taught me." "That's good to hear. I'm proud of you, Green Bean. Are you heading home right now?" "Yeah, it might take me a while though. I had to take a confusing route to lose Kacchan. I'll text you when I make it there. By the way, how are things going at your agency? My agency. Even after all these years, I'm still not used to it. I catch myself calling it by the old name and not Crimson Torch. My sidekicks are awesome, wonderful kids, and my new secretary is very sweet and knows their stuff. Despite my paper-pushing abilities, I'm so grateful I don't have to do so much of that anymore. Izuku found himself smiling at his father's statement. He recalled his dad saying a few years ago that he would rather do paperwork for his newly acquired agency himself than bother someone to be his secretary. However, after many sleepless nights affecting his hero work and the growing concern of his son, he accepted defeat and got some help. The young man was about to continue the conversation, but he heard something heavy slithering behind him. Izuku glanced over his shoulder as a massive sludge-like monster amalgamated behind him. The boy's expression shifted to horror as the monster smiled.
Yes, you'll make a decent skin suit for my getaway.
The slime villain lunged forward at his target. The scared teen sent the villain away with a panicked pulse of his quirk. Izuku dropped his phone as his focus turned to survival. The combat drowned out the cries of the worried father on the other end of the line. Izuku, talk to me. What's going on? Izuku! Izuku! Hearing his son fighting a genuine villain, Kiyo pulled up the tracking details on his son's phone. Izuku had agreed to have his phone chipped to put the Spitfire's mind at ease, and in case the boy disappeared. Kiyo grabbed his goggles as he got the location. He burst out of his office, startling his secretary. Sir? Something came up. Tell Emberd and Pyro King Puma to cover my patrol while I'm out. His secretary made the calls, while Kiyo hot-footed for his son's location. He was absent while one member of his family was in danger, and she died as a result. Kiyo would never let that happen ever again. Midoriya did his best to fend off the sludge villain. The slimy creep kept zipping around to block the boy's every escape route. Conversely, the villain couldn't get his slick appendages around Midoriya due to him utilizing his counter quirk.
Hold still, you maggot!
I fear what you'll do to me if I do! The boy yelled as the sludge villain's attacks became harder and faster. Midoriya wasn't prepared or trained for anything like this. He never thought to ask his dad to train him in martial arts or simple close-quarters combat. This short-sighted mistake looked like it would cost Midoriya everything. Suddenly, a metal manhole cover crashed into the tunnel's roof as it was launched from its socket. A hulking man emerged from below.
Sorry I'm late. The city sewer system is difficult to navigate. You don't need to fear, now that I am here, that is.
The sludge villain seemed to shrink at the booming voice. Midoriya knew that voice. Backlit from the light at the end of the tunnel was the #1 hero himself, All Might. Fueled by desperation, the slimy shoplifter attacked All Might. The pro hero ducked out of the way as he rushed at the villain.
Texas Smash!
The seemingly unbridled power behind All Might's punch sent the sludge villain scattering in its wake. Midoriya braced himself the best he could to stay standing, even attempting to counter some of the force with his quirk, but he was tossed around all the same.
Hey, are you alright, young man?
Midoriya sat up carefully as a large hand helped support him.
Yeah, just a bit dizzy. Sorry that I got you caught up in my work. I'm usually more careful about these things.
As Midoriya's double vision faded, he looked at the face of his rescuer. His eyes went wide in shock and amazement when he saw it was his favorite pro hero. He was about to thank All Might before hearing a familiar set of sprinting footfalls coming their way.
Get off my son, you bastard!
Kiyo came to the scene and punched All Might across the face. The #1 hero didn't know what hit him until he was splayed out on the street. The protective fire breather got between his boy and the assumed assailant. Izuku, get to safety. I'll take this punk down a few pegs. Dad, wait, that's All Might! He saved me a short while before you arrived! Kiyo had a stupefied expression as he realized his miscalculation. All Might stood as he nursed his bruised face. He looked over the man who punched him, noticing the similarities between the boy and the pro hero. I am so sorry, Mr. All Might. I was talking with my son on the phone earlier and heard he was in danger, so I ran over here as fast as I could, and I couldn't tell you who you were in the low lighting, so I thought you were the one that attacked him, and I punched you in the face while you were doing... And wow, you're really tall. Way taller than I thought you were.
Ha 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 ha! It's all right. I can see how you would think your son was in danger. That was a pretty good punch you landed, by the way.
Thanks. While the trio was conversing, a small conscious fragment of slime hid in the sole of All Might's shoe. It was willing to be patient for a while. Oh, I haven't introduced us yet. I'm Spitfire Kiyo of the Crimson Torch, and this is my son, Izuku Midoriya. We're both really big fans. The conversation continued as the pro heroes collected the pieces of the sludge villain in soda bottles All Might had on him. It was a shame to have all that soda go to waste, though. All Might also found a couple of items as the slime villain was getting locked away. He examined the items for a short while before walking to the emerald-eyed boy.
I believe these belong to you, young Midoriya.
Izuku saw All Might was handing him his cell phone and notebook. His phone screen was cracked, and there was some dirt on his book. But they were still usable. Thank you, All Might. Wait, actually, could you sign my... To the boy's surprise, the #1 hero had already signed his notebook. Izuku couldn't believe it. Well, that's the last of that snot guy. Kiyo held one of the filled bottles, imprisoning the villain as he approached the two.
Thank you, Kiyo. I appreciate the help. Now I must be off.
All Might took the villain before super jumping away. The Midoriyas waved the #1 hero off, smiling the entire time. Did you get his autograph? Yeah, check it out! Oh my gosh, that's so cool! I know, and you punched him in the face! I can't believe you knocked him to the ground! I know, I didn't even know I could do that! Elsewhere in the city, All Might sailed through the sky, searching for an empty roof to land on. He was running out of time and would rather not be airborne when he lost his muscle form. Unbeknownst to the pro hero, his snotty little hitchhiker was making its move. All Might found a quiet place to land before dropping his muscle form. The big and strong hero was gone. In his place was a skeletally thin and tired-looking old man. All right, tough guy. Let's get you to the police. Toshinori patted down his pockets to find them torn. Something had sliced his pockets containing his captive. Ah, crap. And that's our video for the day, so thank you all for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it. Before we go, there's a little bit of housekeeping I want to do. First, We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing pleasures. All the information you'll need is right below in the description. So please feel free to check out all the other incredible content our team creates. Second, on behalf of We the Celestials, I want to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details are also in the description. Please give them some love. They deserve it. But that's it for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have an amazing day. And as always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and stay awesome. This has been Tim. Mustache out.